Hello, everyone. Welcome to our last episode of season number 4. We are going into our little summer break. I already have a nice summer fresh look for it, and I hope everybody will enjoy the summer or wherever you are on this planet, the time when we have a little break. But before we go there, today we are going to talk about collaboration security, and I have 2 experts with me. First of all, Malvika, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Heike. Thank you for inviting me to this show. I'm Malvika Balaraj, and I am a product manager in the Defender for Office team.
Thank you so much. And then my second expert is Daniel.
Hi, Heike. My name is Daniel. I'm working as a product manager in the Defender for Office team.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining today. So tell me a little bit. What did we announce at Microsoft Secure, I think was the first time, right?
Yes, it was at Microsoft Secure. So we announced collaboration security. And so we introduced a few new features where we will be expanding over to the Teams workload.
So when you say a few features, I think let's quickly mention those 3 features. And then later we will go, of course, deeper into those features.
Yeah. So we introduced zero-hour auto purge, also known as ZAP. ZAP analyzes messages post-delivery, and it will automatically quarantine these messages so end users are not able to interact or engage with them. SecOps are also able to review or view these messages in quarantine, and then they can decide on the next steps there. So we're adding on to advanced hunting features to support team security. So SecOps can proactively inspect Teams messages and Teams events using KQL-based queries.
Why is this so important? I mean, I would assume, everybody uses Teams collaboration tools. So of course, there's a lot of danger lurking around. So what's your point of view? Like, why is that needed?
Yeah, so many organizations are moving towards more of a hybrid work model. And so adoption of collaboration platforms have really surged. And because of that, Teams has become a new attack vector. And so attacks like phishing, which we previously used email as an entry point, they're now targeting collaboration tools like Teams.
Okay, and so we're using our good and known technologies from our email world and now applying those onto Teams tenants?
Correct. We'll be using what we have in email across our prevention, detection, and response over to Microsoft Teams.
So a user, you mentioned they see report a message, but will they have any other, will they see anything? Do they need to do anything in order to make this happen? Or is that something that will be done, of course, on a tenant side?
Yeah, so once it's turned on the tenant side, users will then be able to go into Teams message and they can report something as suspicious through Teams.
Okay, so as of now, it is in preview, so people need to sign up for it. I don't think it's sign up. There is a PowerShell command people need to run. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. So the tenant admin can run the PowerShell commandlet to turn on all of these features in preview.
Okay.
Yeah, so on top of that, after the feature is generally available, there will be policy options to control the enablement of the feature tenant-wide. So there will be no need to run the PowerShell commandlets later.
Okay, that's good to know. Malvika, you mentioned that some features have been added. That sounds to me that there was already something before. And would you mind sharing with us what has been there before as well?
Yes. So we introduced Safe Links for Teams back in 2021. So Safe Links protects against phishing and malware, and it does this by scanning URLs that are shared in Teams conversations, and it's looking for potentially malicious content at the time of click. And so this prevents the users from actually accessing any of these malicious websites. And on top of that, we are introducing and adding our new feature set for security for Teams.
So Teams is one of the collaboration tools, right? So there's also SharePoint. So how does it look like with SharePoint security? There's a lot of links, a lot of documents, a lot of things can happen there as well.
Yes, we already integrated with SharePoint. Defender for Office already has integrations since for a while with SharePoint, and because files and teams are rooted in SharePoint, that protection is there already. With these new capabilities, we're just building on top of all of this.
So one last question. So because I think Teams, it's also a pretty sensitive platform. So people are chatting and talking and sharing. So how is that with privacy?
Yeah, metadata, I think primarily Malvika should answer. So on the hunting scenarios, you don't access message content, although SecOps has the capability to preview blocked messages or reported messages in a case there is a security concern. So primarily the hunting is for hunting on the metadata of the Teams messages, URLs extracted, and some part of the content just to give a little bit of context, but not the entire message. However, SecOps can preview entire message, like they can preview emails too. And from privacy point of view, it's the same capabilities we have already in the email world. It's just Teams is plugging in as a new workload for the security operation flows.
Okay, so now that we actually talked about what was there, what has been added, let's have a look. I would say, Daniel, let's jump into our demo.
First, I would like to show how Zero Auto Purge works in Teams.
The feature supports multiple scenarios today, individual chats, one-on-one chats, meeting chats, or a group chat. I would like to show you a group chat when there is a pretty intense discussion is going on, an interesting topic. And wanted to show you like how it looks like when Defender for Office steps in and blocks potential malicious messages. There's two basic view. It's depending on are you the poster or sender of the Teams message with a malicious content, or you are just participant in the chat. The block experience is slightly different. So if you are a participant in the chat and there's somebody posting in the chat potentially malicious message with a URL which can be harmful, with our new feature integration, we just block the entire message for you as a participant. So you're not gonna able to access to the content. Comparing what was the integration before, we were protecting time of click of URLs. Right now, we are just blocking entire messages. Blocking means here it's going to quarantine. So administrators still able to access to the message, review, and release them if it's needed. We will have a look on that too.
So this message, the message was blocked. That little message that shows up is not Grady sent this message. Someone else sent this message, and that's what Grady sees.
No, it's we are Alex right now. So we are just one of the participants of the chat.
Okay.
So if you have a look who is logged in, we are logged in as Alex here. And we are, member of a chat of, 6, 7 people. And Grady posted the message, as you said, or somebody, we should scroll up and see it. But because I'm just a participant of the chat, actually it was Isaiah. For me, the entire content is blocked. So I don't have access to any part of the message, not just the URL, but also the entire content of the message, which was including the URL, or URLs, can be multiple URLs in the message.
Okay. And then the other experience is what you want to show next, right? It's basically if you post a message as Alex that has something suspicious, malicious in there, then you still see the message that was blocked.
Exactly. This is the sender experience. So if you are posting a message in Teams, which has URLs, which can have harmful content or point to harmful content, then the block view for you as a sender or poster looks like this. You still have access to the entire message because you posted it, but the system is warning you like, we identified this message has potentially harmful content, so we blocked it for everybody.
And can you now change the message or remove the link, but still keep the message? Or can you still do something with it? Or is it blocked and you can maybe copy it or something?
You can edit the message and you can remove malicious content. If the malicious content is removed, we won't block it again. But if there's still any malicious content, it will be blocked again. And Teams messages are single instance, so it gets blocked for everyone in the chat.
So now that we saw how that looks like on the user side, so how does the integration with our XDR solution, Microsoft 365 Defender, look like?
For Zero or Auto Purge, before we go to the incident experience, first I would like to show how the block experience looks like for administrators.
Tenant admins can see blocked messages by Zero or Auto Purge. It's in the same place like other blocked messages. The update here is you will have a new section for Teams messages blocked. And in case of a mistake made by the system, you want to review, you can go to the quarantine, to the same page like you do usually for emails and files already, and have a look what the system blocked. And the experience supports to give you more information about like why this message was blocked, what the system think about it, a little bit of context. For example, here we blocked this Teams message because of the threat of high confidence phish. And then you get information, the detection is coming from a URL, malicious reputation. You get information about the Teams message itself. Who was the poster of the message? Was it in a chat? If it was a group chat. Who was the participant? What was the URLs in the message? Can be more than one. And which was the one which we think is malicious and the result of the block. In case of a mistake and you want to correct this mistake and you would like to release the message, the same functionality works. You can release a Teams message. And on the Teams side, the message simply will be unblocked for end users, for everybody who has access to the message.
So given that this is a conversation in Teams, right? So there is a lot going on. So if a message now has been released that's like further up, will the sender get notified that they can now resend the message and everybody gets this? Or will the message just show up as a new message at the end of the thread? How does that experience look like?
So the sender doesn't actually get notified, but the message will reappear in its original location.
Okay, thank you. So Daniel, now that we looked into the Zap experience, let's have a look at the first feature that Malvika actually mentioned, which was report a message. What is it? Why do we need it? And how does it look like?
Let me show that. The reason why with an important feature is similar like in emails, users can be the last line of defense of a security strategy. We think Teams just another communication channel, which is exactly same importance to get a signal to the security team. There is something, maybe go through the protection part of the system. So because of that, we introduced very similar functionality like in email to let end users to report malicious messages, Teams messages. I will show you both sides, what's happening for users, how can they do that, and then how administrators and SOC analysts can operationalize on back of that. So it's very easy. It's natively integrated in Teams. You don't really need to do much on the team side. There is, of course, deployment controls, but how for end user looks like it's an action in Teams. So you need to select the message you would like to report. And then under more action, there is a new option called report this message. And with this option, you can select any messages and report it as a security risk to your organization security team. So they can similarly like for other reported messages, they can triage it, investigate it, take the appropriate response action based on your signal as an end user. You think there is maliciousness in the content of this message in this chat.
So you were saying you don't need to do much to get it done. So I think you don't need to do anything besides joining the preview for now.
Exactly.
So after you enable the features as part of the public preview, the report security concern option in Teams should be show up after a couple of days. It's a dual control. You can control to enable it for the entire tenancy, or you can be selective to enable using Teams messaging policies to a group of users and try out first and then widen the rollout to the rest of the organization.
Okay, and those will also be settings in the tenant, on the tenant level in the UX at some point when we go general available.
The MDO side of the configuration is tenant-wide, and it's already there when you enable the feature set. On top of that, you can control per user basis on the team side using messaging policies if you want to override that and only let certain users to try out the features first.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, and then how does it look like on the other side?
Glad you asked, Heike. Let's have a look.
Okay, so on the admin side, it's very similar like any other security operation flows. When you report Teams message as a security risk, it's natively integrated with the flows of Microsoft Defender. So it does generate an alert already. It does correlate to incidents. So SOC need to just triage and look at the same place like they do today in the incident queue. And Teams messages reported by end users is just extending the visibility of a potential attack story. So it's correlated, alerts generated, SOC can triage it from here when it's coming to incident response. So this is the details of one of the incidents when actually there is, I think, multiple users reporting each here. So there is like 2 submission from Teams messages by 2 different users, but it's the same message, just very close in time. So we aggregate this, so it's coming as a single instance of it. Wanted to show you how the alert details looks like. So it's very similar like to any other alert we have in the system. There's no difference here from this point of view. And the other place where we have an experience for administrators is how do I see what my users are reporting to me as a SOC, like one by one, not in the context of an attack story. So we have this experience as well. The Teams reporting messages just seamlessly integrated here. No, not just email messages you see on this list of reporting messages, but you will see Teams messages. It's the same interface, same experience. For analysts, you will have email messages and you will have Teams messages now with the details to help you investigate this. So similarly like quarantine.
So when Collaboration Security or Microsoft Defender for Office 365 decided that this is a malicious file and it removed it, you could see it in your report or somewhere. It didn't raise an alert, right? But if a user reports, then it will create an alert, or did I misunderstand?
That's correct. Today, we do not generate an alert in the public preview when zero-hour auto-purge block a Teams message, but around the general availability date, we will do absolutely. The system will, as usual, generate an alert when a Teams message is blocked by Zap.
Okay. So, Malvika, another option that I know about, and you didn't mention it when we talked about the 3 new features that have been added, is about a text simulation experience specifically for Microsoft Teams. Tell me a little bit about it.
So thank you for asking. We have also introduced attack simulation and training, and that will be used to drive education and awareness in Teams. This is to allow users to be more resilient against phishing. We know that an effective security strategy really requires engagement from end users. And I'll let Daniel walk you through what that looks like.
Thank you, Daniel. Go for it.
Yeah, so it is, again, integrated for the same flows security teams using today. It's just deepening the scenarios. No attack simulation training has the capability to do simulations, variety of attack techniques using Teams as a communication channel. So not just the protection and prevention side is there, but also you can be proactive to get and educate users to get awareness. Teams can be used for malicious purposes as well. I plan to walk you through a simple scenario how to create a simulation. It's very similar like you would do for an email attack simulation. So the flow starts in the same way. Just know you have a new option to use Teams to deliver the simulation. Very similar, requirements. You have a wide range of attack techniques. These are coming from same type of attacks we see all the time. You can show a credential harvest type of simulation. You give it a simple name, maybe like this. Of course, you should select the sender of the simulation. You can predefine these senders in Teams and just select them. This will be the sender who will post the Teams message to everybody who is targeted by the simulation. So we created one for these scenarios. We will send it as Archie this time. Pick a payload. It can be provided by us, or you create your own content. That's all possible. I choose a simple one, which is posting a Teams message to you as a target user, asking like, we identified some security issue. We want you to install a Teams update. Click on the URL and authenticate to do that. User will get compromised if they click on a payload URL and they give away credentials on the login page. The control from here is exactly the same like for any other simulation. So you select targets, you decide do you want trainings or not, and then just launch it.
I usually, when we get them, and I'm always so proud when I actually get the message from the admin that I just reported a phish and I made it.
Exactly. All elements are there, including the positive reinforcement in this flow. This is to make sure users do the correct behavior in case of a real attack. If you see a malicious Teams message, instead of interacting with the content, you report this message to your security team so they can investigate and respond and make your organization more safe.
Perfect. So Daniel, thank you so much for walking us through all these demos. I have a last question for Malvika. So you also mentioned advanced hunting. So what can people look for? Like, why is it important to add, of course, schemas, tables for Microsoft Teams?
So as we added the safe links feature back in 2021, all of those clicks can now be viewed in advanced hunting. So anything that a user clicked on, all of those events can be viewed through advanced hunting using the KQL-based query, and then all of the metadata associated with that.
That's perfect. And is this new table part of the email schema, or is there a new schema? Do you know where people can find it?
So it is actually in the same place where we could see it for email. Among the email clicks, users are also able to see the Teams clicks within the same table.
Okay, so that is all super exciting. So I think we want to encourage people to sign up for the preview and test everything out. Is that basically our call to action for today?
Yes, that is the call to action, to start with the preview, and we'd love to get your feedback.
So how can people get a preview? So we mentioned earlier there is a little PowerShell command. Is that it? Can they sign up for it somewhere? Like, Daniel, help us.
Yeah, actually, this is public preview right now, so no sign up needed. In our blog announcement, we shared all the details how to get started. There's the PowerShell command to run and details all the features, how they should look like after you enable them.
Perfect. And then Malvika, you said you would love to hear feedback. How do people submit feedback?
You can send feedback via our portal.
Okay, with that, Malvika and Daniel, thank you so much for being my experts on today's episode, our last episode for season number 4. And I hope everyone enjoyed it. And I hope I see everyone back when we start with season number 5. Bye.